and he owns the title baddest man on the planet. But Stipe Miocic took an oath as a first responder, an oath he still plans to honor. We'll talk to Stipe about his battle on the front lines against the coronavirus. What's new starts now.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Hello again, and thanks so much for choosing What's New.
Go ahead, Jay.
I guess we both wanted to start at the same time. Sorry, Betsy. I'll say hello and welcome. Betsy will be along in just a second. I'm Jay Crawford, still broadcasting from my home. Betsy, of course, back at Channel 3 studios. As usual, we are standing by for President Trump's daily coronavirus briefing. That is scheduled to take place any moment. When he steps to the podium, we will take you there. In the meantime, Betsy, please get us up to date on the latest headlines concerning the coronavirus.
I will do that. Thank you, Jay. Well, let's get you caught up on the latest developments. As of 2 p.m. today, there are now 2,547 cases in Ohio, and 65 had died due to coronavirus. That is 10 more deaths than yesterday. Governor Mike DeWine signed an executive order to help small businesses. He's asking landlords and lenders to suspend payments for 90 days to help avoid foreclosures. And the financial market's second quarter did not start on a high note. The Dow closed down by nearly 975 points, and all three major indices saw big losses. Well, every state and many of the U.S. territories are now reporting coronavirus cases, and as of today, Ohio is 17th in the nation. In today's daily briefing from Columbus, Governor DeWine and Dr. Amy Acton addressed testing availability in the state. Laura Queso has more on that. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Betsy. And the governor has been talking about the issues with testing of coronavirus here in the state of Ohio. Today, he's officially doing something about it. So what does that mean? Well, now non-testing hospitals in the state, they will send their specimens to a third-party testing to get some results. That's what we know as of the news conference today. So those hospitals must contract with other hospitals that have capacity to do such testing and quicker. Those include, like I said, mostly hospitals here in Northeast Ohio. The list: Cleveland Clinic, University Hospitals, Metro Health, and then also Ohio State.
And the problem has been turnaround 4, 5, and 6 days, which is simply unacceptable. It's unacceptable to the patient. It's unacceptable for the rest of us, because knowing when someone tests positive or doesn't test positive is information that we very, very desperately need.
And the governor also says a lot of our local hospitals, they have a lot of unused lab capacity, which will help us in this testing. He also, of course, Betsy, we've been talking about it, asked for more PPE. We're talking masks, gloves, really gowns, anything that could help our healthcare workers. He's asking manufacturers to continue to step up as we head into peak here in Ohio.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura. We do appreciate it. Jay?
All right, Betsy, now on to our feed at 5. And first up there, how safe are our trips to the grocery stores? This is the one place almost all of us have to go. And understandably, you have concerns about your safety once you get there. A few things you can do. Number one, use curbside pickup or delivery if it's available. Second, if you have to go to the store, keep your normal shopping day. That way, stores aren't overcrowded or overwhelmed. Ohio Health Director Dr. Amy Acton offered this advice.
I would say any packaging is something you could certainly wipe off, wash your hands, wipe off packages, including like take-home delivery food. That's something you can do if by chance the virus or someone has coughed or something's on that surface.
Here's a safety checklist, if you will, things you can do to stay safe when you're at the grocery store. First, make sure you practice that safe social distancing. Try to stay at least 6 feet away from everyone. Once you choose your shopping cart and before you touch it, make sure you wipe it down with the disinfectant wipe. Wash your hands just as soon as you get home. And also, if you can, use the reusable bags. Not all stores are allowing them, so check before you go. Also, it's not a bad idea to clean them often. Also, here's a helpful checklist, then you'll definitely want to watch this. Neat looking piece of video here. One viewer says that when you're using when you're touching the fruit, use the plastic bag. That way you're not actually touching the fruit with your hands. So if you decide not to buy that piece of fruit, you're not leaving your germs behind. Also, if you have them available, the Lieutenant Governor today did suggest wearing a mask and gloves to the grocery store. He mentioned that during today's news conference. Now, with all of us staying at home, kind of the choice way to keep in contact with one another, particularly when it comes to work meetings, is the Zoom app. I'm sure if you weren't familiar with it prior to this, you are now. We use it every day at Channel 3 to stay in close contact. But wouldn't you know it, hackers have found their way into these Zoom conversations, especially if you are using the Zoom app. Our go-to tech guy is Brandon Simmons. Brandon, what's going on here? What are they doing?
Yeah, Zoom is one of those apps we've all kind of gotten used to over the last couple of weeks. You said it. We use it a lot, and it's now the #1 app in the App Store. But now there's a new phenomenon that people have to worry about. It's called Zoom bombing. Now, that's where hackers or internet trolls actually enter your meeting just to be a nuisance and kind of spread hate messages along the way. And one of the local organizations that fell victim recently was the City Club of Cleveland. They were having a meeting online Friday. It was an online forum of sorts to talk about the CARES Act that was designed to be a very educational meeting, and it was open to the public. They invited a lot of people to come and kind of made it a public meeting. But before the session really even got started, a Zoom bomber took over.
The minute we were about to start, somebody started sharing their screen and then immediately went over to their web browser and went to a porn site and started sharing sexually explicit material. I mean, they're bored. They're trying to have, what they perceive to be a fun time, disrupting other people, and that's kind of a shame.
Now, the City Club wasn't the only victim that has fallen victim to something like this. We've also seen it happen to religious organizations. It's also happened to all of these different schools who are trying to run online classrooms as kids need to stay home. Now, just a few days ago, the FBI issued a warning kind of letting people know that this kind of stuff was happening, and they also gave us a bunch of tips that we could use to kind of help lock down those Zoom meetings so that these Zoom bombers don't get in. Of course, I'll share those details with you coming up in the 6 o'clock hour on What Matters Most. Jay, you want to stay tuned for that and make sure those Zoom meetings you're having don't get taken over.
All right, Brandon, shocking, but then again, I guess we should be used to that kind of thing. Brandon Simmons, we'll look forward to that information at 6 o'clock. Betsy?
Thanks so much, guys. Well, today, everybody, it's Census Day. You might not even realize that. And that, of course, is a push to raise awareness to make sure every person in our community is counted. As a matter of fact, you may have got one of these in the mail. This is your introduction to the census. This is how you get started on filling it all out. Now, because of the pandemic, local leaders have had to change their strategy. Cuyahoga County was focused on in-person events in order to reach people, but obviously that's changed. So now they're doing a social media blitz to get the word out. Your participation, and please, I can't even stress this enough, your participation in the census affects funding for things like schools, road repairs, food assistance, even COVID-19 and coronavirus response. That all is part of the census. Now, the big thing here is that you can't forget, it also impacts your representation in Congress.
We get seats based on how many people are counted here, and so it's crucial that we participate, that we engage. It's not just you, but it's also your community.
That's right. Now, due to the pandemic, the census deadline was pushed back from July 31st. Now it is August 14th. Well, let's go over now to Russ with a look at what else is making headlines this evening. Hi, Russ.
Hey, Betsy. Hi, everybody. President Trump has approved Ohio's request for a coronavirus disaster declaration. The cash will be used to help the state and local governments with emergency medical care, supplies, and other needed services. Wimbledon has been canceled for the first time since World War II because of the pandemic. The tournament was scheduled to be played beginning in late June and now becomes one of the many sports events postponed or canceled this year. And a sign of the times at Hopkins Airport, we found a row of empty United Airlines planes parked behind one of the concourses. With air travel cut across the country, these planes will likely be sitting for some time, and that is sad to see.
It definitely is. I saw a shocking statistic as of yesterday. They screened the TSA folks screened like 154,000 people, and last year on this date it was 2.4 million.
Oh my goodness.
It's a huge difference, obviously.
If I'm United Airlines too, and I'm looking at those planes, I'm going, oh my goodness, I'm just cha-ching down the drain.
Right.
Every second.
And it's not just United, it's all of them.
Sure.
But let's talk about back here in Ohio. You got to talk to Dr. Amy Acton yesterday in an interview. She's been at the forefront of the pandemic for the state of Ohio. What all did she have to say?
Well, Betsy, it was a wide-ranging interview, and you can see it in its entirety at WKYC.com. One thing we discuss is the toll that it's taking on all of us. I know that many of us have had moments in the day where we have just lost it, just emotionally, as the weight of everything that's going on has hit us. I have to ask you, you're dealing with this 24/7. Do you ever have moments like that?
I do. I think I like to tell the truth, and I think I've said there have been moments that even I need some grace. We're debating some of the hardest policies that have ever been issued in sort of our modern era. And everyone is working so hard. There's no doubt there aren't moments where we have frustrations or just feelings of that everyone is having right now. It's a lot to take in. It's been a lot to get our heads around. I used to say early on, even I, knowing everything I know, would be driving to work, knowing that it's not life as normal, but still not being able to accept that. So I hope people are giving themselves some grace.
I also asked her, Betsy, about this sudden celebrity that's come upon her. She said that she's surprised and she's grateful, and she wanted to stress to people at home, it's actually you at home who are making a difference here, and she's just here to give us information. It was a fascinating interview, and again, I encourage people to go to WKYC.com to look at the whole thing. It's about 18 minutes long.
That is good. And of course, you said she also talked about grocery stores and, like you said, wide-ranging, so more to take in from that, and she is a rock star. I said yesterday on a Facebook post she should have a crown and a cape and whatever else we can put on her, because she has just been a rock star for Ohio.
She seems so humble, and I don't know her, but my guess is after talking to her, if she heard you say that, she would go, oh, Betsy, stop it.
I know. Dr. Amy, we all, what is it, snacking with Acton? That's the latest 2 o'clock. So
DeWine with DeWine, or in some cases, DeWhiskey with DeWine, whatever floats your boat.
That's true. All right, Russ, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you again in just a little bit. We are still waiting for President Trump, by the way, to give us his daily address, but we want to share this with you. We asked you to tell us who is doing some amazing work in our area, and you have responded, letting us know about 3 heroes. Well, 3 weeks ago, when schools were closed due to the coronavirus, Goodfellas Barbecue started giving away free lunches to the students. The owner says he never thought about the cost because he knew he was helping kids in Cleveland Heights. Well, we asked him why he gives back, and he says it's in his DNA.
My family always helped out during times of need. My grandparents had 11 kids, but they always fed the whole neighborhood. So just rubbed off on me, that's all. Plus, it was to make my mama proud. She said she was proud of me, so.
How cool is that? Now, these are the things you want to file away, and where everybody's back up and running full restaurant mode, you go visit that place. That's fantastic. Although the program is free for students, it is an expense, as you can imagine. They are in need of help to keep this program going. Romney Smith will have more on that tonight at 11. Well, coming up new at 5, Jay talks with heavyweight champion and firefighter Stipe Miocic, what he's seeing on the front lines of this pandemic. And Stephanie, of course, you're keeping an eye on what's clicking in Cleveland.
Betsy, for everybody out there that needs to laugh, this one is for you. There is a hilarious meme going around on the internet about what a difference a month makes. We will show you the very best ones. Now let's check in with Matt Wentz over at his house on the weather. Matt, how's it looking out there?
Well, thanks a lot, Stephanie. Hope you're doing well, and hope everyone out there is doing well today. We promised to return to some sunshine, and we have it. But how long does it last? I've got your forecast coming up.
Welcome back to What's New. Every day we try to bring you stories of positivity, people that go above and beyond, have extraordinary actions during this extraordinary time. We call them our three heroes. And you can make a solid argument that today's is the baddest man on the planet. Stipe Miocic is the reigning UFC heavyweight champion of the world. But right now, that title is taking a back seat to the other hat he wears. Last August, Stipe Miocic shocked the MMA world by winning back his UFC heavyweight title with his revenge knockout of Daniel Cormier. But even now, as he's back on top, he still works his other job as a first responder.
Why is it so important that you fight this fight right now?
Well, you know, my whole life I've always been helped, you know, knew where I need to be, knew where I get. And, you know, it's, you know, and I love helping people, you know, that's what I've learned from my mother, especially. She, you know, just, you know, always giving back. And I love being a fireman, man. I just, everything about it.
Despite his worldwide success in MMA, Miocic is a true Clevelander. He's continued working his part-time firefighter and paramedic job in Valley View. And with the coronavirus now taking its toll in Northeast Ohio, Stipe's services have never been more needed.
We get masked up, gloved up every time, no matter what. We put gloves on, we have masks now, we have gowns. So we're taking every precaution we can just to be on the safe side. Then we get done, we disinfect everything. Unfortunately, where I live, my zip code isn't too great. It's like one of the highest in the state.
So you're right in the middle of this, Stipe, yeah. and you don't have to do this, but you still do.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I love what I do. I mean, it is what it is.
How are you getting through this fight, and what might you tell our viewers to help them get through it too?
Honestly, just stay calm, collective, just be smart. Don't do anything out of the norm. You know, listen to what our government's saying. The state of Ohio, they're smart. You know, the governor's doing a great job.
Well, I know I speak on behalf of all of our viewers. I want to say thank you for what you do, and also to all of your comrades in arms here that are fighting this fight on a daily basis. You guys are the front line. You're the most at risk, yet you continue to go to work, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, Stipe. Thank you, and stay safe.
No, I appreciate it, man. Listen, I pray for everyone else. You know, they work a lot more than I do, you know, and I just hope that they, you know, everyone stays safe. And I think, you know, it'll go by fast. Everyone, like I said, everyone listens, and we just keep our distance and make sure we stay clean. That's it. If we, you know, we're smart and just kept our distance, and I think we'll be good.
As we were starting our conversation yesterday, I was telling Stipe about the 6 Parma firefighters that have tested positive for the coronavirus. He immediately said he hadn't heard that news yet, but wanted to send his well wishes to them and hopes for a speedy recovery. But he was quick to point out, even with that news, it does not deter him. I'm sorry, I said Parma firefighters, Berea firefighters. Even with that news, it does not deter him in his mission. He says he took an oath to go wherever he is needed. And right now, his services are needed more than ever. What an example he is. Hands of a champion, face of a hero. If you know of someone who you would like to nominate to be our 3 heroes, send us a description and a text to 216-344-3300. You can also do so on any of our social media platforms using the hashtag 3heroes. All right, let's head to Matt's house. Time for weather. Matt, great to see you again. I think Em and River are there, so hi kids, I hope you're doing well. And on that vein, our weather word for the day is hero. Matt, see if you can work that into your weather forecast. I think that's appropriate.
Do you want to look at this book?
Got it. Will do, Jay. Just to get you updated on what Emmy's been up to in the last 24 hours, we have googly eyes, you know, for crafts. She cut the googly eye out, not morbid at all, but she said it's a nice pocket to fill with glue. So that's the latest Emmy development. You're doing great, honey. Honey, do you want to tell everyone what the weather is tomorrow? Sunny tomorrow, yes. And the next day? Sunny again. Yes, we've got 2 sunny days in a row. So let's count our blessings while we have them, shall we? All right, we're saying goodbye to the clouds as promised from the northeast to the southwest across northeast Ohio this afternoon. We still do have some clouds from Sandusky down towards Mansfield. Even Millersburg still hanging on to some clouds, but everyone will gradually clear out overnight tonight. That's under the influence of high pressure, which will be kind of stuck with us over the next couple days, but we've got a cool wind. We're not going to get on the warm side of this high. We're going to be on the cool side over the next few days as well. So that means a wind off the lake, and that wind will remain out of the north. So we won't have that warming wind that we tend to get until really Saturday. And you can see that system out in the plains. That's the one that's going to get kind of lost. It's going to take its time before it gets here. That does not arrive until Sunday. So we have beautiful weather until then. Temperatures, though, are cooler near the lake, and that will be the case the next several days. We're in the 40s from Elyria over to Chardon. Meanwhile, down in Akron, Canton sitting in the low to mid 50s right now. A pretty pleasant afternoon, but you can see the cool air that we have across the eastern half of the country. That, again, will be stuck in place. So temperatures are only going to warm a couple degrees. All that warmth out in the plain states, though, that will arrive, a modest version of it as we get into the Saturday time frame, and then next week still looking warm to this point. But tonight first, we've got clearing skies, temperatures back into the 30s. Tomorrow's get outside forecast, as Emmy mentioned, looking great. I've got us at an 8. It'll be sunny, but a little bit cool. Temperatures up near 50 degrees by afternoon, warmer as you get inland. So National Design Mart hour-by-hour forecast. You notice the clearing tonight. It will be cool. If you're looking for a hero around the house, you're going to need a blanket. I think that'll be that. That makes no sense whatsoever again. But anyway, your blankets will be your heroes tonight, as we are going to be chilly. Tomorrow, clear skies. Notice it is cooler near the lake, but a sunshine-filled day. And the same on Friday. Friday, we're going to add a couple degrees, as we should make it up into the 50s for most of us. The Universal Windows Direct 7-day forecast, 61 by Saturday after 2 cool days. Sunday's our next chance of rain. It doesn't look like much. And then next week, we're still looking at 60s, maybe near 70 degrees, with several dry days before showers and thunderstorms return Tuesday and Wednesday. Jay?
Matt, I think it makes perfect sense. There are many cold nights where blankets are absolutely heroes. Keep the kids busy. We'll see you again in the next half hour. What's News coming right back. We're going to go to Stephanie's house to see what's clicking in Cleveland. Stay with us.
You know, Betsy, physical distancing is no joke, but we've got to do it if we want to stop the spread of COVID-19 coronavirus. And if we want to do it at parks, we have to play by the rules. You getting it? Oh, there we go. How's that? My connector was loose. Betsy, physical distancing. Oh, really? I unplugged and plugged back in. Okay, great. Do you want me to give you a level again, or are you good? Okay.
So one of the things that's really interesting is we're visiting everybody's houses where, of course, they're reporting from home and whatnot. We get to see different lighting because the sun is suddenly out in Northeast Ohio, so that is certainly a welcome sight. And I have a feeling, Stephanie, a lot of folks are going to want to get outside to enjoy some of that sun, but you say things may need to be adjusted a little bit.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Betsy. You know, we want to get outside, but we have to make sure we're keeping with those rules and regulations related to physical distancing, especially if we want to still be able to do it at parks. So our local parks here are taking matters into their own hands to make sure that we can still do that. We got to play by those rules. The Cleveland Metro Parks are doing their part, reminding people to stay at least 6 feet apart because they recognize if we don't, the parks will have to close. Now, just so you know, in case you weren't aware, that did happen in Los Angeles. They had to close the parks and beaches because people weren't keeping their distance in those spaces. So because of the surge in visitors, there are new rules in place at the Metro Parks. They will be making certain roadways closed to parks so that people can walk and use bicycles in those spaces. Also, outdoor areas where space is limited will be closed, and parking lots will be restricted to make sure people aren't cramming in there and getting too close. We have those specific regulations up on WKYC.com so you know exactly where that's happening. Now, in Summit County, where there are 131 cases, the Sheriff's Office announced today it will up its patrolling of parks with a post that started with "Stop spreading the virus." This is not to discourage people from going there, but just to make people know that they will be breaking up tight groups and closing up those conversations. And that can be confusing if you're there with your families in those public spaces and people are seeing that and not quite understanding that that's your family members. So, you know, not quite the same thing there. All right, from confusing visuals to funny visuals, we want to show you a couple funny memes going around comparing people, how they looked on March 1st to April 1st now. So here are those highlights. First up, we've got Michael Keaton as himself, then as Beetlejuice. We've got Chris Evans as Captain America, and then the Avengers Endgame Chris Evans, who was Captain America, the older version. Leonardo DiCaprio as the Wolf of Wall Street, and then in The Revenant, very different look there. And Yoda, of course, who we all know as the older, wiser gentleman, but Baby Yoda is the new guy. There's a big change there. And one more for you, Charlize Theron as herself in Monster, and then again, as herself there, and then first in Monster. You know, normally I gotta say we're aging like fine wine, but in these days and times we might be aging a little bit more like cheap wine, Betsy, because it's been a rough one. But it's funny to look at.
The sense of humor that people still have is really refreshing in times like this. We get a lot of scary stuff coming at us, and it's nice to clear the air and laugh every now and then. We appreciate that. Thanks so much, Stephanie. We'll be right back.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Hey everybody, welcome back to What's New. We are still waiting on President Trump to begin his daily press briefing. We will take you there as soon as that begins. But in the meantime, I'm Betsy Kling and my partner Jay Crawford is working from home. And Jay, we start this half hour with something that's going to make everybody smile.
Yeah, I think it will. It's a good one. So there's a grandfather and a granddaughter that live in Nashville, Tennessee. They live on opposite sides of the street. But of course, as you know, because of social distancing, they can't actually be close to one another. So they came up with the next best thing, a dance-off across the street. Check this out.
Whoa. Grandpa got some moves.
I love that. He has the moves, you're right. Now, they are in Nashville, Tennessee. As you know, Betsy, I'm scheduled to be a grandfather in May. And my hope is, even though I don't have moves like that, my hope is that I can have that kind of a cool relationship with my granddaughter when she's about 3 years old. Look at him go. I love it.
That is so fantastic. Well, we can't wait to get that grandbaby around here, too. So best wishes and prayers to them.
We're waiting.
Yes, definitely.
Thank
All right,
you,
well,
Betsy.
let's get everybody caught up on the rest of what's happening around the area and the latest on the coronavirus. Here in Ohio now, there are 2,547 reported cases, 65 deaths, which is 10 more deaths than yesterday. The Ohio Department of Health Director Dr. Amy Acton, issued an order requiring hospitals that do not have the capabilities to complete coronavirus testing to send those tests to hospitals that do have testing facilities instead of private labs. The turnaround time is much faster in hospitals versus those private labs. And Governor Mike DeWine signed an executive order to help small businesses. He's asking landlords and lenders to suspend payments for 90 days to help avoid foreclosures. Well, now it's time for our Top Talker, and we continue to answer your questions about the coronavirus. Here's Senior Health Correspondent Monica Robbins.
In the Health Hub today, Chief Quality Officer of Metro Health, Dr. Brooke Watts. In a nursing home, is it okay to wear the N95 mask all day, every day? The same mask for 9 days? What if it causes breathing difficulties for workers?
We don't recommend routine use of N95s for people who aren't trained in using them or people who aren't taking direct care of COVID positive patients. So if you work in a nursing home and your supervisors are recommending you wear long-term N95, I would make sure you understood the context. The masks themselves are generally, in general use are meant to be used for 8 hours. But certainly in these times, we have seen more prolonged use. But the question I'd be asking is, what is the indication for using the N95?
How do I know what info is real and what's fake on social media?
I myself am trusting the CDC. I'm trusting our infection prevention leadership in the state of Ohio, and I keep going back to those sites for up-to-date information. You know, I know that our friends on social media, maybe they're trying to keep us safe, but I think really they're trying to get us to click. So I would really caution trusting anything that you see on social media.
When going outside to get fresh air, I was a little leery going out when it was very windy. Can the virus be spread out further through high wind?
We see no indication for people to be worried about getting the virus in this way. This really has to do with droplets. It has to be with being within close contact with someone who's infected. The great outdoors is a wonderful place to be, both for our own mental well-being and to be safe. And just a note on that, it appears that many of the folks in my neighborhood have decided that they want to wear masks while they're walking outside in these very wide open spaces. We really have no reason to think that is something we would recommend at all. Again, the masks are.
Well, we want to get those answers to you, but now we go to the president live in Washington, D.C.
Dangerous foreign travel that threatens the health of our people, and we did that far earlier than anyone would have thought, and way ahead of anybody else. In this time of need, I know that every American will do their patriotic duty and help us to achieve a total victory. As governments and nations focus on the coronavirus, there's a growing threat that cartels, criminals, terrorists, and other malign actors will try to exploit the situation for their own gain, and we must not let that happen. We will never let that happen. Today, the United States is launching enhanced counter-narcotics operations in the Western Hemisphere to protect the American people from the deadly scourge of illegal narcotics. We must not let the drug cartels exploit the pandemic to threaten American lives. In cooperation with the 22 partner nations, U.S. Southern Command will increase surveillance, disruption, and seizures of drug shipments and provide additional support for eradication efforts, which are going on right now at a record pace. We're deploying additional Navy destroyers, combat ships, aircraft and helicopters, Coast Guard cutters, and Air Force surveillance aircraft, doubling our capabilities in the region. Very importantly, our forces are fully equipped with personnel, protective equipment, and we've taken additional safety measures to ensure our troops remain healthy. Secretary Mark Esper, Attorney General Bill Barr, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien will provide more details. In addition, I'm going to have General Milley, who's done an incredible job in so many ways, say a few words. And also with us, our Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Gilday, who you know, I think you know, and Commandant of the Coast Guard, Admiral Schultz. So I'm going to ask Mark to start, and then we can go. And after that, we're going to take questions as it pertains to this, and then we'll go on to phase 2, which is the virus itself. Okay? Thank you. Please, Mark.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon, everyone.
Well, we will be streaming this live at WKYC.com and on the WKYC app, so you can follow along with the rest of the president's briefing. Back here at home, the new election date in Ohio has been set for April 28th. That's due to the coronavirus, but it is now strictly a vote-by-mail election. Things are changed. We've been getting some questions about how all of this is going to work. So, first of all, you will need to request a ballot. You can either call your local Board of Elections or you can fill one out online. In Cuyahoga County, there are stations set up outside to fill out the application. I believe that's at the Board of Elections. Either way, they're urging you to vote sooner rather than later.
The sooner we get it, the application, the sooner we can get a ballot, and then we're able to spread out the work over the next 4 weeks, as opposed to everything coming in right at the end, which can be just a little bit challenging based on volume.
Well, your last day to get your ballot in the mail is April 27th. Okay, now what if you've moved? Well, there's measures in place for that too.
So they just need to go ahead and send in their application. And we will see that there's an address change, and we will send out a provisional ballot by mail for them to vote, which then also will serve the purpose of updating their address in our voter registration database for future elections.
So there you go. Well, when you vote, make sure you elect the option for primary on your ballot. And just for clarification, this does not mean that voter registration has opened up. You must already be registered in order to request and then cast your ballot. Well, we call it our daily diversion, and it's our check on the entertainment world. Our attention to parrot heads in this one. There's something for everybody, and Jay has more. Well, I guess he's tossing that to Stephanie. I kind of talked too long. Sorry, Jay.
Leave it to our girl Lizzo. The 3-time Grammy winner sent a personal thank you to workers at the Sugar Creek Health Center in Dayton for being on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Anything y'all need, just holler at your girl, sending you love and sending you big, big hugs. Thank you so much.
She also bought them lunch, which she's doing for lots of places around the country.
We all know just how lucky we are.
For all you parrot heads, Jimmy Buffett's Cabin Fever tour launches today on SiriusXM, which, by the way, is free right now. You can hear Buffett and his Coral Reefer Band every Wednesday and Saturday night at 8, including rare performances from Buffett's personal archives. If you're a Harry Potter fan, check out J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter at Home, which is full of magical treats to fill your day. By the way, Daniel Radcliffe knows all about self-isolation since Harry Potter lived in a cupboard for 11 years.
No, I think that's really the message of the books that I remember is isolate yourself and wash your hands.
And while many of us are having a hard time staying home, Sophie Turner told Conan O'Brien she's loving it because she's a homebody. As for husband Joe Jonas, though, not so much.
It's like prison for him, but it's great for me.
Sophie also admitted she was wearing sweatpants for the interview, while Joe is still putting on jeans every day.
If you're wearing denim pants at home, what does that say about you?
You mean if you're wearing denim during the quarantine at home when no one can see you?
When no one can see you, what does that say about you as a person? Are you a psychopath?
Yeah, I mean,
and Joe does that. Joe wears denim trousers.
The answer is yes, Sophie. That is accurate. Speaking of questionable life choices, nobody can stop talking about Netflix's Tiger King, not even Vegas. Now, maybe there are some spoilers here, so warning you, just FYI. But Jay, here's something that you brought to our attention. People are actually making bets on this.
Yeah, and I think that probably is the only thing more bizarre than the actual Netflix docuseries itself. Tiger King, wow. Yeah, so Vegas is taking bets on how some of these real-life storylines are actually going to play out. No one knows, but if you'd like to get on the action, there are some of the lines that you can bet on. I don't know if you're watching, Steph, but I would, if I had to bet on one of those, I would say right now the best bet is that Carol could be pegged to the mysterious disappearance of her husband decades ago. I read yesterday, Stephanie, that police in the Tampa area are actually looking into the case again, and they are getting as many as 6 tips a day. Proceed at your own risk if you decide to watch this. It is, Stephanie, by far the most bizarre but addictive series I have ever seen. And on that note, we're going to take a break.
You know
More What's New, coming right back.
All right, we continue to do things a little differently around here, and Matt Wentz is joining us from his home, of course, as we know. We're still in the playroom. There's the sunshine we've been waiting on. Now we just need to see a little River and Emmy, and all will be well with us.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Well, we've seen a lot of them last couple of days, haven't we, Betsy? Oh, wait, that's been me here at home, which not too much. Can never get too much of your kids, I'm sure. And then you get kind of close to it, but that's okay. You know what? They're playing right now. She's making some other craft with more googly eyes. It's really cute. I'll show you that later. I'll send you an email or something. But other than that, we're dealing with, obviously, the sunshine coming in. It feels great. I know a lot of people are out and about today. The sunshine just makes a world of difference across the area in terms of getting out, but just a reminder, it's still cool. Now, if you've been sniffling and sneezing, it's not allergies yet, although the tree pollen comes out first before you see the actual buds, but we are not dealing with that yet. The closest tree pollen is actually southern Ohio right now. Then it follows with the grass pollen, and that is in areas of Tennessee now. So it is making its way north as we continue to warm, but not a lot of pollen in our forecast here, at least over the next week or so, for all those allergy sufferers. We'll be keeping an eye on that. But meanwhile, we're dealing with clearing skies across the area. We still have some lingering clouds out towards the west and the south, but high pressure is settling in. You see the rain out towards the Dakotas. That's not going to get here till Sunday at this point, and it looks like it'll be kind of a washed out front, so no big deal in terms of that front. Tomorrow's get outside forecast. Oh, it's going to be a great day. Much like this evening, it will be cool, but we're going to be dealing with sunny skies, and as I said, that just makes a world of difference. So your National Design Mart hour by hour forecast, it's quiet but cool. It's going to be cold tomorrow morning. It'll warm up nicely in the afternoon. And the thing that tomorrow and Friday have in common, it will be cooler near the lake. So 40s near the lakeshore, well into the 50s inland, but sunshine for everybody. Universal Windows Direct 7-day forecast. The warming trend continues. We're up to 61 on Saturday. There's your chance of rain on Sunday. A little bit cooler as a result. And then next week, still looking like a beautiful start to the week with temps well into the 60s to near 70. And a couple scattered storms in the forecast by the time we get to Wednesday. Betsy, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
I can't believe you turned off the sounds of your notifications. I was having a blast bombing your email while you were live on the air and giving everybody a chance to hear ding, ding, ding on this April Fool's. You thought you'd get through clean, but
I muted it. Oh, I muted that.
Well, you have 3 more emails. I was just testing it. All right. Thanks so much, Matt. Oh, there's River. He needs a snack. All right. Well, the mom of a local teen who suffered a life-threatening asthma attack is talking to us about her recovery. But there are some very tough choices that the coronavirus is forcing her to make. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to What's New. Tonight we have an update on 17-year-old Emma Fouts. You'll remember she's the young girl who collapsed last year at her homecoming dance. This happened last fall. She was then put into a medically induced coma for her own safety. Now, a couple of months ago, she came out of that coma, and now her family is concerned about her safety, rightfully so, worried that she may catch the coronavirus at the rehab facility which she is currently housed. In today's Three Heroes, Lindsey Buckingham talks about their fight and all the dozens of volunteers that are working tirelessly to bring Emma home.
They say home is where the heart is. And for 17-year-old Emma Fouts, home is this hospital since last October.
Yeah, she's still at the hospital. She's still progressing really well in therapy. Yeah!
And making, in her mom's words, amazing strides in her recovery.
Her speech is coming along. She's really doing well with it. She's, more understandable as every day she's just getting more and more of the enunciations and stuff.
In this home, Emma celebrated birthdays, spa days, surrounded with signs of support. Now, as coronavirus cases rise across the country, her family torn on where Emma should be.
I mean, it's devastating to know, we've been so far, and then to have something like this. When we were getting ready to bring her home, and now it's kind of, you struggle a lot saying, do we bring her home and worry that, if she comes home and she gets this virus and she has to go back in the hospital, is there going to be a hospital bed available for her? We just learned recently is this coronavirus causes ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome. That's what Emma had day 7. So we know that she barely made it through that.
But working behind the scenes, an army of selfless volunteers getting Emma's family home ready for her return.
We live in a split level home, so we're not able to, use a chairlift or anything like that. So we had to build an addition on the back side of our house. The addition is Emma's room, and it has a ramp that goes up to a chairlift, and then that will lift up to a deck, which leads into the door of her room, and it's a wheelchair accessible bathroom and bedroom.
Builders donating their time and supplies for free, working after their shifts, trudging through mud and water left from heavy rains.
Everybody's suffering right now. Everybody has their struggles and whatnot. For people to step up and come help us, we are so grateful and so appreciative of that. It is amazing how much these people have helped us out and continue to still come even in, these types of times.
These times, uncertain. We're all wondering where we'll be in the next few months. No one feels this more than Emma's family.
It's a big decision, and, as a parent, you want to make sure that you make the right decision, and you want to make sure that, it's a decision that's going to be best for her, because I don't want to regret anything.
Yet, no matter where Emma's home is, her heart is everywhere. In the hospital, the community, in the volunteers who are showing up every day to bring her back where she belongs.
And they're literally living angels amongst us, because they are amazing that they still come back here. They still help us out. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. There's not enough words to thank everybody for everything that they've done.
Hi, Emma, we love you.
Lindsey Buckingham, 3 News.
Lindsey, thanks for the update. What an incredible story. Emma's mom will continue to make the decision over the next couple of weeks as to when Emma will come home. She'll, of course, do that in consultation with her doctor. Emma's mom stressed it's important that we individualize and single out all of the heroes that have volunteered their time, and we couldn't agree more. And we've put all of their names up on our website, 3 Heroes. WKYC.com. Look for them there. If you see them or you know them, tell them thanks. We're back to wrap up What's New right after our final break. Stay with us.
Mic check, mic check. Hey, mic check. Tonight, good evening, Laura Queso. Actually, inmates at the prison in Elkton, south of Youngstown. Wait, hold on. Let me just point it down a little bit.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello? Can you hear me now? Thank you.
Well, that's going to do it. Our hour is up. We're back tomorrow with another episode of What's New. We'll have the latest coronavirus headlines and also the latest 3 heroes that are in and about our community. Betsy, we'll see you then.
All right, Jay, definitely. What matters most with Russ and Laura starts now.
Tonight, testing order. The state lays out new rules for hospitals to make sure Ohioans get coronavirus test results faster. Also,